Tyrese Halliburton, and you're listening to Setting the Pace.
What is up, Pacer Nation? The Indiana Pacers have defeated the Charlotte Hornets, ending their 8-game losing streak, second win of the season. We are here to talk about it. Just had to show you guys I was at the arena. Wanted to show you the court. I'm up here in the media section, recording this podcast with my guy Facci, who I haven't talked to in almost 2 weeks. Facci, how's it going?
Woo, a little bit better now. I mean, dare I say, can I say it? Can I say there is pep in the step right now? I'm wondering if I can, but man, it feels good. Even if it's just for one night, feels like the boys are back.
I mean, yeah, let's just talk about that for a second, because I wasn't sure if the pep would be in the step since it's just one win. But at this point, they needed this win for a lot of morale reasons. And I don't even know where we want to start, but I feel like the guy that we have to give the most credit to in this game is the guy that was a breakout. The guy they traded for to replace Miles Turner, Jay Huff. I mean, my goodness, pretty impressive game from Jay.
This was the Jay Huff game. This is what we were advertised about Jay Huff, of what he could be. We saw him dunk. We saw him hit threes. We saw him pass. We saw him block. We saw him rebound. He did a little bit of everything. And when he got in the zone, he couldn't miss. And it was just give him the ball again and get out of the way. Jay Huff was taking over at times.
He really was. And I mean, and the fact that the Pacers were struggling with their centers and foul trouble at the beginning of this game, I mean, it felt like the Hornets' big guys were just going to dominate after watching kind of like the beginning of the first half, because after, I think it was 20 minutes of play, it was literally 8 fouls. It was actually 60 minutes of play, 8 fouls between Bradley, Jackson, and Huff. And they had to pull Huff out when he picked up his second. They go back to Jackson, he picks up his third. Then Bradley picks up his third, so back to Jay Huff. So obviously he took advantage of the opportunity. But let me just ask you this. I don't know if you noticed this on TV or not, but it felt like the Pacers really played a lot more zone defense tonight, and it actually impacted how they were guarding. And I think that, to me, was impressive, that they were able to throw some zone defense out there, and it actually worked.
It did. We saw the Pacers build leads that we hadn't seen all season. I mean, this really looked like from start to, I can't say finish, because obviously things got close at one point. But I would say in the first half, at least, Indiana really built that lead, and it was just great to see, defense lead to offense. Obviously, it helps when you're hitting threes left and right, and that is something that Indiana did. They made 7 threes in the first quarter. That was the most they've made in any quarter this season. So they had it going early on. I'm glad that they didn't let it completely slip away at the end of the game.
They were on fire in this game, Facci. I mean, they were shooting lights out from the field, and they were due for that. I mean, this is a team that was really struggling, but they got 70 points by the first half. I mean, you were just seeing them finally make shots, and our friend Young Simba was like, how are we winning this game? And I said, we're hitting all of our shots. The Hornets are not shooting a great percentage. And at one point in the game, Facci, the Pacers had a total of 14 rebounds. The Hornets had 14 offensive rebounds. I will not try to pick on Jay Huff too much in this game, because I felt like it was his best game of the season and one of his best games of his career. But man, oh man, in that first half, I'm sitting over here by Tom Lewis of Indy Cornrows, and I kid you not, he goes, man, can Jay Huff please get an offensive or defensive rebound? They keep letting offensive rebounds go to the Hornets. I keep forgetting who they're about to play, who they played. And then all of a sudden, he got one, and Tom Lewis was like, oh, right, he got one. And I said, man, you're pumped up. He goes, yeah, it's exciting. And I was like, okay. So I just thought it was funny that Jay Huff was struggling so much to get a defensive rebound. But when he finally got him, it was like, okay, finally a breath of fresh air.
Yeah, I mean, we saw this guy struggle, mightily at times. But a night like tonight, we got to sing the praise. And it was great. 20 points, I believe his career high is 22 in a game. 7 of 13 from the field, 4 of 9 from 3. We've seen the three-point struggles at times. The blocks have been there. Consistently at 3 blocks. He even got called for a goaltending that he got up on and swatted the ball. So it's a really, really good performance, by Jay Huff. Hopefully it's something that he can build on and keep going with moving forward.
Absolutely, Facci. Well, let's move over now to a guy that is back from his second game, Benn Mathurin. Let's talk about him in a positive light once again. I thought he had a really good fourth quarter against the Pistons. Kind of felt like he was out of rhythm for the majority of that game, but in this game, just 13 shots, 24 points, though, 12 rebounds. Leads the team in rebounds. The closest person next to him, TJ McConnell, was 6. So we know Mathurin's a good rebounder, and we've talked about this before. I know last season it was a big focal point when Benn Mathurin was getting on the glass. it really helped the Pacers win games. And so I just like the way that he played. He didn't shoot a ton. Like 13 attempts is a good amount, but like he had the same amount of attempts as Jay Huff in this game, okay? It wasn't like he was being a ball hog, taking the right shots, playing pretty good defense, and then rebounding the basketball. I really like what we've seen from Benn Mathurin this year. I feel like the Pacers, in the minutes he's played, they've looked they're the best version of themselves when he's been out there on the court.
Yeah, they really have. I mean, Mathurin balling out on the year, putting up some really big numbers, but also like this team really wasn't fun while he was out. Like it was honestly dreadful watching this team without Benn Mathurin. And no, he's no Tyrese Halliburton in terms of a level of fun, but like Mathurin brings a lot to the table in terms of enjoyment. He's that edge of the seat material type of guy. He came out there immediately, started shooting, nailing threes to start the game. Obviously, the rebounding, like you mentioned, was great. And like he's in for a big year. We knew he was in for a pretty big one, but like I think that there's going to be some massive Mathurin performances on the year, and I feel like tonight is just something you can expect. Maybe not the 12 board, but like this type of performance, 24 points. I feel like it's something that has kind of been actually his lowest scoring mark.
Yeah, that's true.
Season. So think about that.
Yeah, lowest scoring mark of the season, which is pretty wild that it's 24 points. And look, this is a guy that I know that we've had conversations about, and we've said, I don't know if he's a long-term fit for this Pacers team. And while I don't want to be a prisoner of the moment and I don't want to just make comments and be wishy-washy, I think that what we saw without him on the court could be a sign of how the Pacers maybe change their opinion of whether or not he is the guy they should let go or not, because this is a guy that is an absolute bucket, and we're finally seeing him not be like held back by the coaching staff and saying we want you to like fit into this specific role. They still want him to do certain things, don't get me wrong, but they're allowing him to play a little bit more freely. And I think if you look at how this team has looked when Tyrese has gone out, right, that just kind of shows you like you desperately need another guy that can get the ball in the hoop. And as much as I love Aaron Nesmith and as much as I love Andrew Nembhard, those guys to me are not automatic bucket getters like Benn Mathurin, right? So at the end of the day, like I'm not saying that I'm completely changing my mind, but I think we need to maybe be a little bit more open to the fact that the Pacers will bring Mathurin back and want to secure him for a long-term fit with this team, because if he can figure things out defensively, right? I'm not worried as much about the passing, but if he can figure things out defensively and just be solid on that end, I think it's going to be hard to let this guy walk, because the moment you let him walk, you know wherever he's going to average 26 points a game, and you're going to have a lot of regrets. And we've seen this happen with other young players under Rick Carlisle's umbrella in their career, a.k.a. Jalen Brunson is one that comes to mind. I'm sure there's a few others that I can think of, but Tayshaun Prince is another one, right? Once Rick Carlisle left the Pistons and Tayshaun kind of got unlocked by Larry Brown, I'm just saying, nothing against Rick. I know that Ben likes Rick, but that's something to keep in mind, Fletch.
I mean, look, it would haunt the Pacers for years to come, because Mathurin's talent is like, it's something that is it's really hard to come by. You're really not coming across guys that are as talented as Mathurin. When you want to talk about his ceiling, it's something that he is so far from like having reached at this point that you want to see him continue to blossom in Indiana. And when you talk about defense, they're as large of a lead as Indiana had at one point, 20-plus points. It got down to 8 at one point, and there was a fast break. I can't remember who exactly it was, but Mathurin chased him down, got the block, what would have cut it to a 6-point game, and on the exact opposite end, Nembhard hits a bucket. Indiana goes up 10. That was the turning point in this game where things could have gotten away from the Pacers, and Charlotte could have really, minimized that lead and chopped it down from 6 to maybe 4 eventually, and things like that. That Mathurin effort on that chase down block sealed this game and put the Pacers ahead for good.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, you can't say enough great things about the way Benn Mathurin has played this season. And that bruise that he had on his toe, like it kept him out for a while. It's a pretty serious injury, but I'm glad to see him back. And I don't know how many minutes that he ended up playing tonight. I know that they've kind of been trying to watch his minutes, but I think he still played a decent amount, right? 34 minutes. I don't think they were really watching his minutes tonight. So at the end of the day, I will just say this, Fletch. We are really witnessing maybe the breakout party for Benn Mathurin. And look, I think one thing we need to go back and look at last year, this team was winning basketball games and had one of the best offenses when he was starting in absence of Nesmith, right? Like, Nembhard came back and that really changed a lot. But it wasn't just like, oh, Nembhard's back and Neesmith's back. Now we're winning. No. Once Nembhard came back and you didn't have Neesmith, you were still able to start winning some games and stringing some wins together. So I'm just maybe I'm trying to convince myself here a little bit by talking about it here with you on the podcast. But
I don't mind it. Hey.
We've honestly had a lot of people frustrated with our Mathurin conversation. And I get it. I definitely get it. And my problem is I try to think like the front office thinks. But what I don't think is maybe they change your mind over time, and when we talk to them and we hear certain things, we're kind of like, okay, this is what they think, this is what they are envisioning, but maybe their opinions change over time. And so, hey, I'm open more now to seeing this thing long haul with Mathurin because, truth is, I think he likes it here, and it's a really potentially good fit long term. And you invested so much in this draft pick as well, Foch. Everybody's talking about draft picks. This is one of their lottery guys. You can't let this guy go, I don't think. It just makes me a little bit nervous thinking about it.
It really does. I truly said it before a couple minutes ago. I said it again. Like I think it would haunt Indiana.
It would haunt them
to do big things. Mathurin has all-star potential, and if you're the Pacers, historically, when do you let those guys go? Like when a homegrown all-star type of player, like someone you drafted and developed, like that's a bold move. They don't grow on trees, and we've seen historically that the sixth pick and anything around there, like it's a high draft pick, but it's hard to hit on all-stars, and it feels like that's a pick that Indiana's hit on. And I think in a year like this where it's dreadful, like Mathurin is the bright spot. He is the sun this season. And I just feel like there's a lot of other guys that are struggling. You know what you're going to get out of Pascal Siakam each and every night, so you're not maybe going to sing his praises. But a guy like Mathurin has taken leaps forward. And yes, this team would have been better if he hadn't gotten hurt. He would have continued to put up big numbers. But, like, he's just getting started. He's played a handful of games this year. Like, let's see what he can do consistently over a larger sample size. And then we'll see if, hey, you know what? This is the perfect fit or not. But obviously, at the end of the day, it comes down to money. That's what it comes down to. It's not a talent question. Like he is incredibly talented, but Indiana financially on the books, that's kind of the hard decision that they'll have to make down the line.
I mean, and honestly, like you cannot lose another key player in your rotation for nothing, right? You already lost Miles Turner for absolutely nothing. I just hope the Pacers don't get tight with their money once again because we heard they were willing to pay the tax in the offseason, right? This team has not done that in 20-some years. No. I want to believe it because they made the finals, but it's really hard for me to believe they would have done it. That's where I'm at, Foch. But before we move forward, though, I think at this point it would be a great time to talk about the sponsor of this show. That is our great friends over at the Ripple Bagel and Deli down in Broad Ripple, Indiana. I'm telling y'all, now is your time to go because the Pacers won. So if you go tomorrow and show them that you are subscribed to Setting the Pace wherever you listen to Setting the Pace at, you're going to get a free side or drink, one, not both, with your sandwich. And Facci, the Setting the Pace sandwich, the official Setting the Pace sandwich, is only found at Ripple Bagel and Deli. It is salami, turkey, and pastrami on an everything bagel with cream cheese and lettuce. It is delicious. It is delectable. Any delicious word you can think of that is that adjective, that is what that sandwich is. But Facci, I know you're a bagel guy. Bagel guy is on Friday, but do you like bagel sandwiches? Have you ever had a bagel sandwich?
Absolutely. Love it. Yep. It's great. Can't beat it, but I'm telling you, when you're talking about you can only get it at one place, you know where to get it. You got to go there. And after a win, celebrate it. This is the time. Go out there. Tell a friend. All right? The Pacers won. The boys are back. You got to celebrate with Setting the Pace. Broad Bagel Deli. You got it.
Yeah. Ripple Bagel and Deli is the place to go, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you try it now. Facci, I do have to ask you really quick as we're talking about this sponsor. What is your go-to bagel sandwich?
I'm a bacon, egg, and cheese type of guy.
So breakfast, okay.
Breakfast sandwich, yes.
What about non-breakfast? Would you do a bagel sandwich non-breakfast-wise for like lunch or dinner?
Dinner? No.
Ever tried it?
For dinner? No, I've never had a bagel sandwich for dinner. I usually, at that point, I think I'm probably more likely to have like a hamburger or something like that if I'm going for that type of vibe. So bagels for breakfast, that's more of my flow.
Well, I will say Ripple Bagel and Deli is open for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So don't discriminate against the other two meals throughout the day, Foch. You can get a bunch of different combinations. That will fill you up, but it is similar to getting a sub. It's just with a bagel instead of a sub. So give it a shot and try the Setting the Pace sandwich and let my friend Todd know that you heard about their amazing place at Setting the Pace. Now, let's get back to the game here, Facci. And let's talk about the guy you mentioned a little bit before that advertisement, Pascal Siakam. Pascal Siakam, once again, honestly, has a really good game, and a lot of his shots came from inside the arc. 7 of 9 inside the arc, just 2 of 8 from 3. Plus 25 in this game, 7 assists. Like, you can't say enough great things about Pascal Siakam. And in a game where he has, 22 points and is a plus 25, it still didn't feel like he was the guy you should lead the show with, because you're just used to it at this point. The standout was Jay Huff, and then obviously Mathurin coming back. It just felt good to kind of reward him with that in the early conversations. But I really like what we saw from Pascal. I
really like it. And look, when we were talking about Mathurin before, as all the good praises we were singing, I didn't want to, break out my umbrella and rain on his parade, but he was a -2 in the game for Benedict Mathurin. Pascal Siakam plus 25. I mean, this is a guy that, like I said before, it's not that we take him for granted, but it's that he does this consistently night in, night out, that you do expect it. And Pascal Siakam, I think he was just great. This is like the Pascal Siakam that you just know, like, you could pencil him down for this year. Hey, yeah, he's probably going to give you anywhere around 20 plus points. He'll influence the game from a passing standpoint. He's going to play good defense, things like that. Pascal Siakam on a night like tonight is as advertised.
As advertised, and honestly, like, I feel like we've said so many great things about Pascal. It's like, what else do you really add to this? There was a couple of plays there. I mean, honestly, like, I was like kind of shocked he got called for 2 fouls where he was like grabbing the Charlotte Hornets defenders, or like elbowed Connaughton down there in the paint. And I knew that was going to get overturned, as I know they're going to call that, because whenever you have a mouse in the house and they're smaller and you get those elbows up high, it's like an automatic foul, especially on a review. Pat Connaughton had a couple of corner threes where Pascal was his primary defender, and I said, the Hornets are not going to come back and win this game, are they? Like, I would have laughed if the Hornets would have came back and won this game, because
I wouldn't have laughed.
The only reason I would have laughed is because it's like, are you kidding me? 9 losses in a row now after you had that big of a lead, plus the fact that the Pacers have struggled with the Tyrese Haliburton era to beat the Hornets. It's like they've been their kryptonite, and that's why I tweeted out. I said, who knew the Pacers, counter to the kryptonite was Jay Huff. Good grief.
It really was. The losses to the Hornets have typically been the lowest moments on the season. At times where you go, oh man, maybe this team's just not good. And we already know this year that there's challenges. No one's saying that they're good or are great or anything of the sort. But like, if they blew this, I would have been like, yeah, I can't look at that schedule and find a win. I can't. This was the one that you had to have just to try and get back on track. The Hornets are who they've been for years, a team that struggles, a team that has like a little bit of a wonky fit. LaMelo Ball being your leader is just not the guy that you want. He struggled very much tonight. 5 of 21. I mean, this is a guy that it just feels like has an expiration date on this team, like some milk, because it's just like it starts and ends with LaMelo Ball. And I feel like on the other end with the Pacers, you look at your leader in a Pascal Siakam plus 25, just like cool, calm, and collected the whole game. A guy like Pascal Siakam kind of sets the tone for Indiana, and I felt like was as good as it gets.
I'm not a big LaMelo Ball fan. If you didn't notice by my tweet, I said he's like the most unserious NBA player on the court. Yes. I mean, honestly, watching him, he's more about doing dances and like looking at his tattoos on his arm, and like, I don't know. I'm just like, anybody would be. I'd rather have Conca Nipple on my team.
He's balling.
He was unbelievable.
Yeah,
points on 11 of 20 shooting. Like, this is the guy that's like the future of this team. And I think Brandon Miller, Conca Nipple, like that's 2 key forwards you can key in on for the future of your team. They got to find a way to get rid of LaMelo Ball now. Look,
they do.
I don't know if he's dealing with an injury or not. I saw somebody kind of chirp back at me and say he's on a minutes restriction, but I don't know if you noticed this or not. But as the Hornets are making their comeback, they sub LaMelo out, keep the same 4 out there, and put in Colin Sexton. And I thought, that's interesting. Now, Colin Sexton wasn't great tonight, just 4 of 13 from the field. But honestly, like, I just don't think of LaMelo as a leader. I think of this as a guy that's just, he's been part of such a losing environment for so long in Charlotte. I just don't think that he's ever going to be able to break out of that unless he goes somewhere where he can hopefully like get a new like chance to see what a winning culture is like. But I just hate the vibes there. And I was sitting here next to Tony East, and I was like, man, if they could get Trae Young for LaMelo Ball in some way, whether it's a 3-team deal or whatever it is, like, that would be awesome. I think Trae Young would be a really nice fit there if the Hawks are not looking to bring him back.
Yeah, there's like similarities between them, but I think like Trae Young is definitely more of like a serious player. Definitely has one more in this league, and would definitely be an upgrade. I think it would be a downgrade for Atlanta. But if Atlanta wants to just start all over, then yeah, I guess you could say, hey,
Well,
look,
Atlanta's playing pretty great without
I
him
know
right now.
it just wouldn't make sense, like for Atlanta's standpoint. I think Charlotte would like that deal, but even with Trae Young out at times, yeah, Atlanta's looking good. Jalen Johnson looks really good. Like,
Unbelievable. So
yeah,
good.
I was always a fan. But you look at LaMelo Ball, you talking to me, you're saying that he might have been on a minutes restriction. Was he on a shot restriction? Because the guy got up 21 shots, he only made 5. I mean, this is just not good, not good. And like you look at Charlotte right now, and like they have some good role players there, like they do, and they have some other potentials. But like as long as he's the guy, I just don't think that they're going to be able to get out of this. And I feel like there's enough other pieces there that like, yeah, you know what, maybe it could be something, but yeah, until they make that change, they are going to be what they are and what they have been.
Every time you say make that change, I think of Jeremiah Johnson on our podcast going, make that change, singing Man in the Mirror. Like,
Yeah,
we got to really get to it. I can see JJ right now. He's down there on courtside with Eddie Gill. They just finished up Pacers post game, so pretty cool stuff. But I want to talk about TJ McConnell here for a second because I brought up last episode that TJ McConnell does not look like he has the same burst, was not the biggest fan of what we saw from TJ McConnell, but tonight, Facci, a perfect 6 of 6 from the field and 2 from 3, 14 points, 8 assists, 6 rebounds, was a team second best, plus 18 in the game. And not only was he doing that, he was talking some trash to none other than Zion James. Who the heck is Zion James? TJ McConnell's latest victim. That's who he is.
Yep. Hey, he did pull Sion over at the end of the game, was talking to him, said some kind stuff. So, he dished it, but he probably gave some advice afterwards. But this looked like the vintage McConnell of the past. He does it all in 14 minutes. I mean, like, think about that. He made every minute count, those short bursts like that. That's what he's done before. Was hitting threes, doing his little goggles or glasses, So it's like it was just great to see McConnell having fun. His threes always get the crowd amped up, and in a win like this, and after not having McConnell for so long, like obviously he's been back for a little bit now since I believe the Utah game, and he's it's just good to have him back. We needed him. Love to see that off the bench.
All right, Facci, I just saw a hilarious tweet from Ben Gibson. He said the Pacers are now on pace for an 11-win season.
Hey, that'd be on pace for one of the worst seasons ever. But at the same point, you had to get a win at some point, and it just feels good to have something positive to talk about. I missed the Warriors recap with you. I haven't talked about a win in over 5 months. I mean, look,
wow, that's a long time. There's a lot of pep in the step.
There's been no pep. It's like you got no pep for 5 months. What am I supposed to do? I'm just dragging these feet around. They're taking steps, but there's no pep in them. So it's good to have something positive to talk about instead of being like, what are we doing? Tear it down, this, that. And look, nobody got hurt. Nobody got hurt. Knock on wood. Knock on wood. At one point, I saw Isaiah Jackson kind of walk towards the tunnel early on. I was like, oh, come on. But everything worked out, and I was like, all right, good. So we made it out alive. We got a win. It's good for the home crowd, good for the fans overall.
So can we say that the Pacers are now currently undefeated since Facci has podcasted with being 34 years old?
That is absolutely true. For those of you that might not remember or know or anything of the sort, I did have a birthday recently. That's why I did not record on Sunday and Monday. My wife threw me a surprise party.
I mentioned it on the podcast. Yeah,
I figured you did, but my wife threw me a surprise party. Hard to surprise me. I don't leave the house too much, so it's like saw a bunch of food come in, and I was like, well, "What's going on here?" She let me know. So it was fun. And then Monday, just went out. I had my parents. Actually, they came over and we just did like a nice dinner and things like that. So Pacers couldn't get me a win on my birthday. It's unfortunate, especially to Detroit, of all teams who I absolutely despised growing up. Like the bane of my existence for most of my life was the Detroit Pistons. Now it was one of those where I just knew on my birthday, yeah, we're probably not winning this game. Detroit's good this year. They are winning. I did not expect a win, and I did not get a win.
Hey, you were pretty high on Detroit all offseason long. You really like their makeup of their team.
I just really like they're going in the right direction. Look what they're doing, not getting anything from Jaden Ivey. Like, this is a team that's going in the right direction. Like, they are young. They are built for the long haul. Like, this is a up and coming team that we are going to have to deal with for quite some time.
Jalen Duren looked really good in that game, Facci, and he just turned 22, and I'm like, my God, he's going to be a monster. And I think you can arguably make the case that he is the best center in the Eastern Conference right now. Look, Joel Embiid would be the number one usually at default, but like that guy's a shell of himself. The next person probably is Bam Adebayo, and then after that, I mean, you could say Jalen Duren is right there with Bam, but I mean, if you want to give the nod to Bam, that's fine. I'll say Bam is better than Jalen Duren at this point, but give it a couple more years. I wouldn't be surprised if we're talking about Jalen Duren being the best center in the Eastern Conference. I mean, I went through every single center. I'm like, I think he's better than Towns potentially at times, and I don't really think Towns is like a true center. So, Jakob Poeltl, Miles Turner, Isaiah Jackson, like you just Jared Allen, like you go through the list, it's just like Vooch. I mean, come on. I mean, I think he's in that category.
Yeah, the last few names definitely. I think just the fact that he's so young is like, yeah, you could say that those guys, some of those guys are better. Yeah, because they've played for a lot longer. But like Jalen Duren's just getting started. So great rebounder, really young. Detroit elected to not extend him early, and that could cost them. It's going to cost them some money. So I think that he is someone who is going to earn an additional, $20+ million or more on that next extension. Him and Benedict Mathurin, probably the two players benefiting most from not signing extensions and, balling out. But obviously for Mathurin, it's just a couple of games. But at the same point, long season to go, both players might be in for a serious payday.
All right, Facci, anything else you want to bring up from tonight's game in terms of players we maybe didn't talk about that you felt like deserved a little bit of a shout out? Only person I could think of is maybe Nembhard.
Yeah, I mean, we can go with Nembhard. I mean, you have 16 points, 7 assists. He did have 6 turnovers.
Yeah, I'm not loving what I'm seeing from Nembhard so far as the lead point guard.
I cannot say that I've been like, wow. I mean, think about this. Like, you could look at his numbers from like averaging near 18 points per game, but he struggled from the field this year. He really has. I mean, he's shooting about 40% on the season. He's had maybe 1 or 2 games that really stand out, like that Toronto game and Utah game. He shot the ball well, but I just feel like, it's big shoes to fill when you try and compare him to a Tyrese Halliburton. But think about this. He's got 11 assists in his last 2 games. He's got 11 turnovers.
Yeah.
That's not like Pacer basketball. He's shooting 10 of 25 in the last 2 games. So 10 of 25 from the field, 11 assists, 11 turnovers. That is just 3 rebounds combined. Like, this is just not great. And it's hard. It's going to take us some time adapting to a newer role, but you just, I don't know, you wonder like, hey, is he a point guard in this league, or is he like a real good, 2-guard, combo guard type of player in this league?
Yeah, I'm feeling like he is more a 2-way guard, combo guard that is a beneficiary of what Tyrese Halliburton does. I'm not saying that he can't handle the point guard duties from occasion on occasion. I just wonder if he's like a starter level true one at this point in his, like, where he's at in his career right now. Like, maybe he develops into that a little bit more over time. But you think about it from this perspective too in the game, Flash. He started the game out 3 of 3 from the field with 7 points. Finishes 6 of 15, so he goes 3 of 12 the rest of the game. Actually missed, I think he actually went in the next 5 shots he missed in the first quarter. He goes 3 of 8 in the first quarter. So really, like, it was just a quiet offensive game from him after the first like burst that he had, which, I'm glad he had the burst, and he didn't really need to have a big burst after that because of everybody else that was hitting shots. But he's just been kind of up and down. And honestly, like, if you go back to the Pistons game, Dennis Jenkins was really getting under his skin, and he was talking some mad stuff, and honestly, like, they were just kind of chirping with each other, and that was the first time I've really seen Nembhard, not like rattle, that's the wrong word to say, but just kind of like frustrated. And I'm sure all the losses are piling up and just frustrating as well. But yeah, I mean, it was good to see them get a win tonight, but still, I want to see more from Nembhard. As much as we've talked about how much we love him and how he's like one of my favorite players, if not my favorite player on the team right now, I want to see more from him. I think that he can do better than what he's doing right now.
Yeah, he definitely can. And there has been some highs and there has been some lows, and it stinks that everything's come in losses. But I think that it's like, come on, we want to see a little bit more on nights like tonight or the last few nights, like protect the ball a little bit better. How do we have, the 3-point shot has definitely, outside of 1 or 2 games, has really been pretty sketch. I mean, it's been 2 of 7 in the last 2 games. So, yeah, the last few games have not been great. I think we're waiting for him to really kind of like establish himself as like, hey, look, this is someone that we thought coming into the year could be the most improved player of the year. Like nobody would put him in that category right now. Like he's definitely has the ball in his hands more. He's putting up more shots. He's averaging about 15 shots per game. It's obviously a lot more than in the past, but it just hasn't been efficient. He's not protecting the ball like you want to see, and we're just used to such a high standard from Tyrese Haliburton where you could have 10 assists, no turnovers. You could have 15 assists, no turnovers. So when you see 7 assists, 6 turnovers, it's just it's not pretty. But at the same point, hey, we still got to give him more time. He's only played what 9 games on the year. So
Yeah.
let's give him we'll give him a little bit of a longer leash. And I look forward to. I think he's going to end up breaking out in the near few games or so.
I hope you're right, Facci. I want to believe. I really do. I do kind of wonder if it's more of this is a good player that's better suited in a different role. And maybe that's the case. I mean, I definitely feel that way about Nesmith. Don't get me wrong about Nesmith. I love Aaron Nesmith, but when you start to ask him to do too much offensively, you can tell like that is not what he is best at doing. He is a player that enjoys the benefiting off of other great players around him. And it doesn't mean he's not a very good player himself. It's just one way of looking at it as like he's not a great player, and there's a reason why he's limited with when you ask him to step up and become this offensive force. He can't really do it unless he's in Madison Square Garden game 1 going off. Like that's kind of an anomaly thing. It's not the normal we see from Aaron Nesmith on a game-to-game basis. But last thing here, just because I know if we don't bring him up, we'll hear about it in our comments. I'll be getting a text about it from Rooster. Ben Shepherd started tonight for Jarace Walker. Played 31 and a half minutes and was 5 of 10 from the field. Foch still only 1 of 5 from 3, but he did hit one. Almost had like a game, ceiling tip in, kind of to like settle the crowd a little bit at the end of the game, but was a really good positive in the plus minus side. I mean, Ben Shepherd wasn't bad tonight. I thought he was pretty good.
No, he was plus 16. He had a really good steal. He had 2 steals, but one of them was like a McConnell-esque type of steal, and really, really good performance. I think anytime you're getting 15 points on efficient shooting from Ben Shepherd, you got to be happy about it. He had 3 offensive rebounds in this game. I feel like this was a good Ben Shepherd performance that, like, you're right. It would have been almost a crime not to shout him out when he has had his struggles at times. I think this was definitely, I would say, probably his second best performance. He had a really good performance against Brooklyn. I remember we talked about how he followed that up, but I thought this was like a really good performance to hopefully build off of.
Absolutely, Facci. Well, it was good to see the Pacers also dominate in the bench points as well.
Yes.
And you don't usually see that. What was it?
It looked like the old days. Like the bench delivered tonight. This was a classic, like Pacers, 6 players in double figures, another one with 9. Like that used to be the recipe over the last 2 years. And it was just great to see.
Yeah, the Hornets scored 36 points. Jay Huff and TJ McConnell scored 34. So that was really good to see. Then you throw in Bradley, Jeremiah Robinson, Earl, and Jarace Walker. That's another 14 points. So the Pacers win by 12. So, yeah. Anyway, I'm getting text messages saying bad night to be a Jay Huff hater, Alex, from my friends. So, I'm not responding because I'm podcasting, but I gave Jay his flowers on Twitter and on the podcast here. We started out the show with Jay Huff, but we haven't done a player of the game, Facci, because we haven't been together. So we haven't done player awards at all this year, actually, because they've been so bad. So let's do player awards quickly to wrap things up here. Got some noise going on here behind me. They're cleaning up, but who would you say for the player of the game tonight?
Let's give it a Jay Huff. I feel like if we don't give it a Jay Huff, when's he going to get it? And I feel like this is a night tonight where, like, it's not to say he stepped outside of his box, but he stepped up. He rose to the occasion. I felt like this is good. Pascal Siakam will have plenty of opportunities, but Jay Huff tonight, very deserving.
I think it's funny that our first ever player of the game this season
is Jay Huff.
Is Jay freaking Huff.
Wow.
What a world we're living in, Facci.
Who would have thought? But I'm happy. So Jay, well deserving.
All right, let's go with our Tyrese Haliburton clutch player of the game. Do we have one of those tonight?
I thought the block from Mathurin was clutch, like I mentioned before. It really was at a pivotal point where Charlotte was threatening the Pacers' lead, and I felt like they were getting close. That block, like I mentioned, Nembhard converts on the other end. Indiana never looks back. I thought it was pretty clutch.
All right, I'm not going to push back on it. I was actually thinking about that play after you mentioned it earlier in the game, earlier in the podcast. So, yeah, I'll give it to Mathurin as well. I think clutch player of the game, we'll go with Benn Mathurin. Now, our defensive player of the game, Could be tough, but maybe go back to Jay Huff for the blocks that he had. I don't know. What do you want to do? Rebound? I mean, he did have a good rebounding game. Maybe Mathurin rebounding wise.
But yeah. I mean, Mathurin pulling down 12 boards was head and shoulders above anybody else on this team. So I thought that was great. He could definitely, have that. He's been taking on a tougher assignment, this year defensively. Jay Huff had the block. So yeah, if they want to split it, they can split it. But I thought those two players brought it.
We're not splitting it. We're going to give it to one. So who do you think, Mathurin or Huffy?
Give it to Mathurin.
Okay. So Mathurin's walking away with 2, and Huff is walking away with 1. We could use TJ McConnell as our 6th man, but we're getting a little carried away with our awards here. So, but then again, we might not have very many opportunities this season to give out a player awards.
I mean, hey,
so,
you know what, McConnell? Let's give it to you. That with a nice pat on the back. All right, welcome back to the old TJ McConnell.
How is Jay Huff not the 6th man?
Yeah, I mean, sure. We
no, I'm just saying. No, we can give it to TJ because we already gave Jay.
Let's give it to TJ. Let's give it to TJ. I feel like it was vintage McConnell tonight, and it made me happy again to just be like, there we go, McConnell. Like he went down the second preseason started, and it was like, oh, like what are we gonna do now? Night like tonight shows you the value of McConnell.
All right, everybody. Well, this is going to wrap it up for our game recap podcast. Because we did not record yesterday, I promised you guys a second episode. So Facci and I are actually going to stop recording now. We're going to go record another episode where we're going to rank the roster from least or most likely to be traded to least likely to be traded. So we're going to look at who we think is the most likely to be traded on this roster to the least likely. And if you guys don't want to hear anything about trades, then you have to listen to it. But I think you guys will enjoy this one because we were planning on doing this type of recording last night. I just needed a night off. So I appreciate you all bearing with us, but we're making up for that. And then Facci, you're coming back on Thursday, right?
I am.
Do you have a guest lined up or are you going solo?
I do. Kyle Taylor coming on the show. You guys have heard from Kyle before. We're going to talk about some trends that Kyle's been tweeting about and just some analysis of the Pacers lately, just from, injuries to, style of play to maybe what we could expect in the future.
I always like when Facci is the host of the show. It's fun to see him in a different role. And last thing for me before we sign off, Tucker DeVries, man, looks good on an IU jersey.
Not a fan. big belief that he faked his injury to preserve his eligibility. Every West Virginia fan is not a fan of his.
Darren DeVries, you like him as well as a coach?
No, absolutely not. But West Virginia right now is undefeated and just got the highest ranked recruit in program history. So you know what? It worked out. We don't need any coach.
Who is the coach of West Virginia right now?
His name's Ross Hodge, and we are undefeated. We're living life. Life's good right now. Playing really good defense. That's our style. So all
right.
Yep.
What should I know as an IU fan about Darren DeVries and his teams?
That he don't trust him. I would say that.
You watched them play last year. They were like right on the bubble there of making the tournament. So
yeah,
what did you like about his teams last year? Like from what they did that one season with West Virginia?
I mean, they beat some good ranked teams. They really did. So it was good. I felt like early on they really just kind of like came to play, and then we really crapped the bed towards the end and kind of blew it. But I also just don't like the way that he handled things where he just like pretty much lied to players, didn't say goodbye to anybody, just left. And they have reports that he literally was negotiating to be the head coach of Indiana in like December. And
I heard about that.
Yeah. It's like, what are you doing? Like this is year one for you. Year one in a new place. Like, and your son just like played the bare minimum amount of games to preserve his eligibility. His shoulder was hurt. West Virginia paid him like $1 million last year to be on the team. So it was like totally just an absolute like, oh my, like he's like a hated man in West Virginia. But I know there's a lot of IU people listening to this. So you know what? That's coming from every single West Virginia fan that rooted for him and doesn't like him. You guys, hey, you get a new experience with him. Enjoy. Hopefully he's there long term.
I just wanted an honest assessment of what he is as a coach, and here I get this 5 minutes backstory about how you don't trust the guy. I mean, I get all that, but like on the court wise, like what kind of coach? Like I know they're shooting a lot of threes at IU. Is that like what they did at West Virginia?
Yeah, West Virginia shot. Yeah, they definitely looked like a far more modern offense from how they looked before. They had been like a really like old school under Bob Huggins for a while. Just like play defense. It's going to be an ugly type of game, but you're going to win ugly. DeVries definitely had West Virginia playing more of like that modern style. But one thing I will say is this. Not one recruit followed him to Indiana. Not one. He had a few. So that's kind of interesting that every single coach, every single player that had committed to him and, whatever, he earned their trust, no one followed him. So I thought that was really interesting.
Well, that is interesting. You don't usually see that because if you look at what,
if you go to a bigger program, shouldn't you take someone with you? Like, these are 4-star recruits, like solid recruits. And
maybe he just felt like they were that bad they weren't worth bringing to IU.
I mean, there was a time where it was a little hard for him to find players because I know the whole IU roster left and he just didn't have a team. You would think that you'd bring the recruits, but they didn't follow him.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. I'm glad they're actually shooting threes at Indiana again because, my goodness, it's been some really terrible offense with Woodson as the head coach. Really having and relying upon Trace Jackson Davis in the glory days of Race Thompson and that group. So, honestly, just thankful that we've got a coach that's a little bit more modernized. And anytime I can rib you about that coach transition, it makes me laugh. But I will say, as we sign off here, I'm really sad that I did not bring this up earlier. Did you see the tweet that I was tagged in from somebody about what was on the scoreboard tonight at the game pregame?
No, I did not.
I don't know who runs Pacers scoreboard, who's behind the operations behind that, but they had a picture of Isaiah Jackson, and it was sponsored by the Indy Star. Now, it wasn't the Indy Star that put this up there, but it said stats of the night, and a stat of the night, and it said Isaiah Jackson has recorded 3 double-doubles this season. Miles Turner has yet to record a double-double for the Milwaukee Bucks. I have no idea who is in charge of this, but why in the world are they going after Miles Turner and the Bucks? I just thought it was funny, and there was a screenshot of it. I said I'm trying to stay off of it for the rest of the year at least, with going at Miles on Twitter and just getting Bucks fans all excited. But I thought that was pretty comical, and I'm like, who in the world did this? Because it is really funny.
Catching strays. I mean, look, not even playing the Bucks, and Turner gets roped in there. Interesting, but it sounds like it's an accurate statement. So I wasn't aware of it, but you learn something new every day.
That's exactly it. So with that being said, Pacer Nation, we hope you all enjoyed today's game recap as the Pacers get their second win of the season and end an 8-game losing streak. Finally, the Pacers have come back to winning basketball. And if you're hoping the Pacers can continue their winning ways against the Cleveland Cavaliers on Friday, then hit me with those 3 words.
Let's go, Pacers.